Yo, I made another beat. This one's really fun. I wanted to show you guys like ASAP and kind of talk through how I did this. This one's like pop, rock, indie, alternative. I don't know. Kind of inspired by some of like early 2000s like indie rock, some Porter Robinson, Jane Remover stuff. Some like combining like 2000s rock with electronic production, which like isn't new, but I feel like I did this in a fresh way. Yeah, I'll show through this a little bit and then kind of break it down. So yeah, that's essentially it. It right now is just kind of verse chorus. I think I'm probably gonna use it for myself. So I'm kind of sitting on it for a little bit and figuring out. I might change structure, might add an intro, might do like bridge and last chorus out or something. But anyways, I really think the production's fun with this. I wanted to do something that was like a little more like light and carefree and a lot of fun, but like still hinted at something serious. Like it doesn't have to be totally a silly song. I feel like, especially, it's like it's weird. This song kind of follows like a 12 bar structure, which is different for me. But first 8 bars are more major key, and then the turnaround is where it hits more minor, like the section. And I think that can really add some cool melodies in the lead vocal, but then also cool storytelling of like first half of it being kind of major key happy and then it getting a little bit more what if towards the end. I don't know. I'm really excited for that. And I guess I'll start with drums, breaking this one down. I really wanted to work on like a hybrid drum kit between like electronic samples and a real kit. It's more veering electronic in the verses than more real in the hook, and I'll kind of break through what we got. A lot of fun sound effects. I really enjoyed this hi-hat sample. It was very resonant, had a pitch to it, so within the Logic step sequencer, I like programmed out like a little melody where the notes change each time. Made sure it was in key and like just a little bit of ear candy, something fun and like different than you would expect in there for the bass end as well. Checking out some of the sound effects in the new Misoji sound kit, plus some of sounds from my kit as well. I recorded myself saying A, pitched it up, just, I don't know, fun, like lighthearted kind of stuff. And then when we hit the hook, we add a superior drummer with ride cymbal, snare, and some toms, hi-hat. We add a sample of like from the new Remghost drum kit. Highly recommend that as well. Like a gun cocking, very ridiculous, but it's so fun. I think that putting that in, like texturally, it's kind of like a shaker. It sounds really nice, but it also adds that like tongue-in-cheek funniness to it. Oh yeah, electronic kick as well. It's the back road kick from my drum kit. Then I'd like the 4 on the floor kind of thing towards the end of the hook with the off hi-hat. Then to kind of add to the funny like back and forth of the electronic and normal drum sounds, I used a crash that wasn't from Superior Drummer for the very end. It was a crash recorded from Rem Ghost's kit as well. A little more raw sounding, so I thought it was fun to include a raw sound in a kind of more sampled way. Yeah, I think another song that makes this song lean electronic is the loopiness of it. It kind of is, the drums kind of give it like a dance song thing where it's essentially, it's the same chord progression and drum groove the whole time so far. Again, that might change when I add structure, but right now I kind of like it being loop based and kind of ebbing and flowing in energy with like the layers that I add. And with that being said, I'm going to go through some more of the layers that we've got here. This whole song started with me playing this on the electric guitar. Very nice major key riffy kind of thing. I recorded it on the Tysco, the red and black guitar up here. It's like a 60s like Sears catalog guitar, really cool sound. Kind of short scale, kind of Mustang-ish, but with a middle pickup. It was Robert Smith from The Cure used this guitar a lot, so it kind of has some of those tones as well. Nice strummy 80s, 90s kind of thing. I'm running it through my Marshall head here on the clean channel with a little bit of gain and a compressor as well to kind of just give it that sustain, but pretty raw. It's pretty straightforward raw tone. Only thing I'm running in Logic is some soothe and EQ. Just to kind of soften it a little bit. Honestly, probably didn't even need the soothe too much, but yeah, I'm running that on the rhythm, hard tracking it left and right. Then I have this lead guitar, which was same guitar, same amp settings, but I turned on my Rat distortion pedal just to give it some more of a boost, more distorted tone, and I also put some Valhalla vintage verb on it to give it some space. Very fuzzy. Also, intentionally left it kind of sloppy. I could have played a slightly better take, but I wanted this song to be a little bit loose. The drums, being as electronic as they are, really establish the grid and are super on time. So I think playing a little bit off gives the song a little more life, a little more fun, carefreeness to it. So I intentionally left some slips and like funny sections in there. Also, I had on this, I forgot to mention, aside from the distortion, I ran a phaser pedal through this lead tone. And at the very end, I thought that the feedback through a phaser sounded really weird. So I left it in on this like inner, like this like 2-bar break section. This guitar, its pickup is really noisy and it feeds back really easily. So I like to play with that right here. Very funny sound. Really, really dig it though. I think it's like enough of like a question mark, but like playful sound that it fits in this section really well. That was one of those like Bob Ross happy accidents that I think helped a lot in this case. Next we have ambience. Again, no processing aside from a little bit of EQ to carve out some room. But what I'm doing is I am on my pedal board again, this time running it through a pitch shifter octave up. If you watch my videos, you've heard me talk about this, but I play some notes sustained on this octave up through my reverb pedal as well. I set the reverb to sustain like infinitely, and then it creates this like pad sound. And on this specifically, I played a different one left and right. It's slightly different notes. There's like a half step variation between. So it's like are the two notes here and here. So it's like kind of creating a little bit of dissonance and tension in the background. Kind of by itself feels a little but then you put it in context and it's fun. And I think the dissonance and tension in such a major key fun thing like this adds some like chaotic energy to the song that I really enjoy. It's different than if I did that in like, if I did it in a more minor key song, it would just sound kind of emo or sad. But with this one, there's some more nuance of like, oh, what's the underlying thing going on? It raises some questions, I think, which I really enjoy. Next, with some of that, going along with that ambience, I recorded a layer on my Microfreak synthesizer by Arturia. It's right under here. Very cool, quick programmable synth. I feel like it's like modern equivalent of the Micro Korg, which I also have here. But I think it like, I can turn it on and just kind of quickly make whatever sound I have in my head. Or if I don't have a sound in my head, scroll through some presets until something inspires me. But I just wanted something kind of mono, weird, ear candy-y. Nothing on it except a little bit of EQ and reverb. Just some nice texture. I wanted this song to have enough like of a synth quality to it. That way it's not too guitar forward. And then alongside that, some vocal pads. I recorded myself singing, ran it through some processing, auto-tune, a little alter boy for formant, and then a little alter boy afterwards at robot setting, mixed like a third of the way to add like a harmony. It's like a really nice way to add some pedal tones is to blend in the robot mode on little alter boy. Then some EQ, some compression, some delay, OTT for more compression to just really make it digital. Then I bounced that out and reversed it with an octave up. The delay being pretty fast ping pong, I think sounds really nice reversed. It creates this really cool texture. So this is like the texture for most of the song. Really love that. I love that two of the synth elements aren't even synth. It's my voice and my guitar. So I think that helps blend the two different sides of the song. From there, we have the acoustic guitar. It first makes its like upfront appearance on this section here. The break. I wanted this 2-bar break, even though it's a couple seconds, I wanted it to kind of transport you somewhere else really quickly, like a whirlwind. And then in the second verse, instead of having the synths and the vocal pad and ambient stuff, I leave the Microfreak in there because it's pretty quiet, but it's mostly guitar. I wanted to have those verses be separate. One's mostly electronic, one's mostly real. Then I add this little acoustic guitar layer throughout. just some harmonics I was playing, add some rhythmic stuff. Really, especially once vocals are there, probably not that audible of a thing, but I think it makes a big difference. I also throw that in the last hook, and then I add a lead acoustic part that again isn't that heard, but kind of fills in some space. Really strange part. So it started off as a very normal layer. So it sounds kind of crazy because I played it. It wasn't okay to add to the funny chaoticness and digital versus analog theme of this song. I recorded the take kind of sloppy, and then I quantized it, and I didn't fix the quantizing. I let it quantize it kind of poorly. That way, it's like if a robot were to make a mistake is kind of how I view it. It's like off, but technically on, and I don't know. I thought that was a really cool sound. And then with that thought in mind, I amped it up by sending a bus to Little Altar Boy, pitched up octave. So I think it really adds a nice, crazy moment to the song. Turning it up a little bit. So fun. Then we have another acoustic guitar layer. This one is a lot more simple. It's just rhythm guitar to add to the choruses. I think another like classic 2000s rock song motif is mixing acoustic guitar in with electric guitar in the hook just to get that strumming sound. Some EQ, a little bit of compression, a little bit of reverb, and I'll A-B it in the hook because it's really not that heard, but once I take it out, you'll notice some of the top end be gone. It's like a rhythmic, like shaker-esque thing that it adds. So with, then unless you're on headphones, you might not notice that, but it definitely is adding some top end information. And then also there's some like high mids that I'm noticing getting added in as well. I think it really just like makes the chorus sound a lot bigger, more full frequency spectrum stuff. From there we have our bass. Really fun tone with this one. A kind of like clangy, overdriven thing going on. Dual processing. I have a DI of my Ampeg SVT plugin. Pretty simple. Ultra low, boosting the highs. Then we have a take. It's the same take, but we have a split of it going through my Marshall, same tone dialed as the rhythm guitar, so like a compressed, slightly overdriven thing. Then you combine the two. Nice clangy bass sound. Some multi-band compression. I just wanted to separately tame. I wanted to separately make the low end be pretty level. Again, with like the synthiness of the song, I wanted it to be not quite synth bassy, but pretty dynamically like level in the low end. And then also just kind of grabbing the big, like the pick attack sound up here. Some EQ, some compression. This one is kind of to glue the two parts together. Kind of heavy. But I feel like it takes it from two separate bass signals to one bass guitar part doing that. Some R bass to add some really low end sub stuff into it. This was shaping it after. You'll find a lot of times I have two steps in my mixing. The first half from like here to here was getting the tone right, getting the sound that I wanted. And then the second half was the mixing. Like, now that I have the sound, let me mix it. I guess, and if I was not the producer and engineer, that would be the part where like stems are printed and sent to the engineer and then you process further. But the R bass and then this kind of big EQ thing was decision made after the tone was established and when I was trying to mix everything together in the song. Then lastly, compressor to the kick drum. Where are we at? Again, giving it that dancey kind of feel, especially on the hook. Then from that, we have, we go back to the drums. And I guess at this point, I can dive in a little more with some of the things that I didn't talk about first pass through. Talked about the hi-hat, some of the sound effects going on. I have this sound effect going on through the whole song. It's the shattered glass ambience thing. I used to use it a lot in like ambient rap kind of stuff and breakbeat. But I think in this song, it just added this like noise floor. Once it hits this section, it almost sounds like digital noise or hum or like tape hiss, but not. It's like I don't know, it felt like a digital version of an analog problem. And because of that, I kept it in. It's a nice sound. It kind of adds like world building to this. Without it, I felt like the song felt a little open, but having this happen the whole time puts it in a place. It's like setting the tone. I talk about this in every song, but it's an important thing. I think that there's some elements of your song that need to be the grounding elements, and for me, this is one of them. This plus some of the pads that are happening, like this happens the whole time through. So I guess you would say this is like where the song lives. Crazy how listening to all of these, it could be a totally different song. A lot more dissonant and weird. But then in context, it's fun. Then we have, let's see here, Superior Drummer. I'm still kind of learning Superior Drummer and figuring out what samples I like the best. So I used this song as a way to like not just load up the samples that I already know, but to experiment with different things. Let's see, I'm not using the kick. I'm using the ride, the hi-hat, the toms, and the snare. And doing this. Pretty simple, kind of roomy, real sounding. It's really fun I think it's really fun to approach a drum kit in a way that's half organic, half not. I don't know, there's a lot of cool middle ground that can be found there. Versus like, sometimes you might make a rap beat and then one of the samples is like a real snare. Or you might do a rock song with a full drum kit, then add like a trap hi-hat. I think both of those are valid, but both of those are also kind of been done before things. So finding some middle ground I think is really nice. Another fun thing added to that is this backroad kick that I'm using. It is an electronic kit technically, but where I found this was I was like crate digging on YouTube a couple of years ago, and I found like a breakbeat type recording, like an old 50s like soul drum fill, and I took the kick from that drum fill, really distorted it, compressed it, added some like transients to it, and that's how I got this. So I think that it's nice because that kick is electronic now, but the heart of it is still real. So I think it really helps kind of tie in both ends of this. If I used a real kick drum from like Superior Drummer, it wouldn't sound impactful enough, I think. And if I used like an 808 kick, for example, I don't think that this would have the same realness to it. I think that that's a big important glue to this sound here. But yeah, with that being said, this is a beat I made that I feel like is really fun, kind of topical at the moment with the whole like indie-sleaze revival, the Porter Robinson album being out, like a lot of that type of vibe of combining some 2000s nostalgia and like current production trends. Yeah, really enjoying this. I'm excited to see where this song goes. Any questions or anything, please feel free to comment below. And if you made it this far, really appreciate it as always. Thank you so much and peace out.